Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a nitty yarny podcast from the southwest of France. Welcome to everyone, I hope you are all doing well. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I have quite a packed episode and I want to thank you all for your advice and encouragement regarding my sewing problems last week. Yeah, it was really nice to have some feedback and help from you guys, so thank you. I have a little announcement to make at the beginning of this episode, and if you follow me on Instagram you might have a clue of what it's about. So as you know, I chose to start podcasting in English, and the reason for that is, well, first I learned to knit and everything in English, so even though I do know some of the French terms, I am not as comfortable with them. The people that were with me on Instagram at the time were mostly English speaking. I wanted the podcast to be accessible to my boyfriend and my boyfriend's mother who do want to watch, and they do not speak French. And as you know, I am not surrounded by creative people. Basically no one around me knits or sews or anything. You know, I'm feeling quite lonely about that, so I've always have. So the idea was through this podcast to share with as many people as possible. And it just made sense to talk to an English audience because obviously more people speak English. And this will remain the case. The majority and my main content will always be in English. You will always have the weekly podcast episodes where I share everything, whether creative or as well the book reviews and stuff. There will be the project focus still in English. I am working on the second one, fear not. And yeah, the content that you have now in English will remain in the channel. As exhaustive as it already is, but I do want to add a little bit of French content as well. The reason for that is that I had a few people talking to me on Instagram and Ravelry and saying that that they wanted to watch a podcast but they're not comfortable enough with English, and like they weren't blaming me for anything. It's just a fact, and I do understand. And yeah, it just makes sense. If my goal is to share with, like I said, as many people as possible, well, I might as well go into all the directions that I can. And one of those directions is speaking French for people who only want to watch or can watch podcasts in French. So the idea is that I'm thinking once every 3 weeks, once a month, a French video up on this channel, and it will say on the title in French. The title will be in French, so you won't be misled by that, hopefully. And so it will be like a summary of what I've been making, and it will be exclusively in French. Now, there will not be content in French that is not available in English. It will be the contrary, actually, because everything is going to remain in English, and the French monthly podcast will be, sort of a recap, a best of. I will select the things I talk about, because since I'm going to do it only once a month, I won't have time to, I'm not gonna make 3 hours long videos, so I will not share everything like I do here in English. But I still wanted to have a little something for people that only speak French. Just because, and you might know that if your main language isn't French either. Actually, I don't know, I'm guessing it's not true for Scandinavian people who have a really strong knitting tradition, but for French-speaking people who don't have access to the English part of the internet, it's you end up quite limited in resources. That are amazing French podcasters and knitters who make tutorials and things, but even themselves, I've been chatting with a few of them, and even themselves sometimes they hit a wall with not finding the resources that they want or they would like to share to their community in French. So yeah, I just want to put a little bit more of French knitting here, and yeah, so that will be it. Like I said, if you are watching the English podcasts, well, it doesn't change anything for you. I recommend that you keep watching them because they will be more often and they will have everything in them. But if you prefer, if you're not comfortable and if you prefer a French version, well, there will be one once a month. So yeah, you will see popping French Yarnflakes starting soon. I'm going to film the 2 videos right next to another today, and yeah, the thing is, my setup with editing and everything is so time consuming that I'm not sure I'll be able to put the 2 videos up close. I hope you won't be bothered by it. I asked on Instagram if it would be maybe better to make a separate channel, and the vast majority, I think it was over 80%, said no, keep it on the English channel, which I understand. It means that my little YouTube space is clearly identified, and yeah, if you for some reason want to watch both the French and English videos, you don't have to look for me in 2 different places. But yeah, I hope you English-speaking folks won't mind. Like I said, it will be only once a month. You won't be missing any content from me if you do not understand French. Yeah, it will remain the same with a little bit French on top of it. So I think I said everything. You can ask me questions in case I forgot stuff. And yes, I have a lot of knitting to share. 3 finished objects, oh my. A bunch of new cast-ons. I also want to have a little bit of a book review and a yarn show. Not in that order, but yeah. Timestamps to all the different sections of the podcast are in the description down below, so if you want to skip anything, feel free to jump ahead. There will also be links to everything that I talk about, as well as my social media, patterns for sale on Ravelry, etc. So yeah, I finished my Zweig. I kind of went into a finish all the things vibe, and I was really focused in finishing one by one all the whips that were kind of dragging me down. But yeah, my Zweig, guys, I really like it. I was hoping for it to be a bit looser, but it's definitely, I should have made the medium size after all, you know, I talk a lot about that, but I think it's going to keep expanding since this is superwash merino. But yeah, let me show you a better view of it. So obviously this is the Zweig Sweater by Caitlin Hunter. I knitted out of a superwash merino that I hand dyed myself in chocolate brown, and the contrast color for the yoke is Cosmic Strings in the Marshmallow colorway. Just this beautiful cream, pink and purple speckled. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. Like I said, it's a bit more fitted than what I wanted, but it's okay. Yeah, I just need to understand that I have to make sweaters bigger if I want them to fit loosely. And I use so little yarn, guys. I have 1 full brown skein left and more than half of the contrast color left, which was as well a full 100-gram skein. So I used 170 plus 40. Yeah, I used just a tiny bit over 200 grams of fingering weight yarn. That's nothing. Yeah, I need to get less yarn because obviously I can get sweater out of nothing, and this is knit at a 24 or 25 stitch gauge, I don't remember, so it's not that loose, and still I got it out of only 200 grams. I'm really happy with how it's looking. I'm glad with my color choices. The sleeves were pleasant. So the sleeves are funny because there are no decreases around, and since mine are quite fitted, it works quite well, and you only decrease just before starting that long cuff. I rarely do long cuff just because I don't like ribbing, but it actually looks quite nice. I kind of like the look of that, so I might do that more often. I think it looks nice, and yeah, I did the crosses on the sleeves as well, and they were quite fast to do. Yeah, I was surprised about that. I guess since there are no decreases, I just went straight full on, and it just flew by. And if you think about it, it's quite a short distance between your start of the sleeves and the start of the cuff. So yeah, really happy with it. The lace blocked beautifully. You can now see better the lovely pattern that Caitlin made, and I really like this. I like how it falls as well. With these type of like strong graphic thing, you kind of want to be careful where it is on your bust, and it's just over the boob area, so yeah, it doesn't look weird, so that's quite nice. I know some people have had issues when blocking that the armhole went really down and that the yoke was quite deep. Don't have that. It's not stuck to my arm bit. I don't like that word, but so it's just comfortable. It's not dragging down. I won't have a problem putting a sweater. Can't talk today. It's because my mind is I'm going to have to do the same thing in French in 2 minutes. So I'm like, I'm gonna be able to put a coat on top of it if I want to. I think, yeah, I know Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast had that issue, and I think she used singles yarn, which tend to poof even more, so that may be why. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's going to be really nice for spring. Look at that. I did a simple stretchy bind off, so it's the one where you knit two and then you knit two together, etc. until you bind off. I don't like the look of it. It looks like I have ruffles a little bit. It's okay because it's on the cuff and they're stretched anyway, because they're very little stitches around here. But when I do hems, I never do that. I never do a stretchy bind off on the hem of my sweater just because it frills out. I have never found a stretchy bind off that looks good. So I just do bind off and it usually works. Yeah, I think I've said everything. Japanese short rows, I will talk about that more in a minute because I did them again and I love them. Really nice, the neck is up and cozy, and my boyfriend keeps texting me and is distracting me. Marius, please. Yeah. distractions. But yeah, it's fine. I really like it, and I've been looking at pictures of other people's projects, and I feel like this is a sweater I could do again. You know, the color combination is has a really good potential of making nice stuff. Next finished object is yes, finally. Oh my god. I was on a mission to finish that thing. Please stop it. I want to have it done. Which was completely unreasonable because I started this blanket in January, so I actually finished it in a bit less than 3 months, which for an adult sized blanket is pretty good. So this is the Garter Chevron blanket, which is a pattern by Minna Philip, which she has as a baby size, and I extended to be an adult blanket. It's about, it's almost a meter and 180 centimeters square, so it's taller than me, it's wider than my wingspan, and yeah, I am really happy with it. It's squishy. I need to wash it, put it in a washing machine and dry it before I pack it up, because this is a gift for friends and I will never make a blanket ever again. Oh no, that's a lie, but blankets are not my thing. It's too long. It was fun for the first few repeats, and then it was a bit too much. I mean, I can do this as Netflix knitting, so I much prefer doing this than doing really tedious garter-rows, but the effect and the result is just so beautiful. It is so beautiful. So I used Phildar Charly, which is 100% acrylic yarn, blankets gifted, and I used 5 different colors, and I made stripes, and I think it looks really nice. It looks really nice. It was such a relief to cast off that thing, to bind off that thing. Yeah, just... I feel like now I can cast on 20 new things and be good, because this was kind of burdening me. But it's here, guys. It's done. It's squishy. It needs to go through the washing machine, where I hope it will not get ruined. But I did put a swatch there, so should it be okay? I have no idea. I have to send this through the post to Romania, and I have no idea how I'm going to do that because it's quite big. I'm gonna need a big box. Okay. And the last finished object. My Darjeeling socks are done. Last time I already had one done, so I talked quite a lot about them. But these are the Darjeeling socks, which is a pattern by Cat Bordy that is published in the Knitter's Book of Socks, which is a lovely book about sock constructions and that has really nice patterns. So yeah, I used Marianne Yarn's Golden Years, which I just like how it's completely crazy. It has all the colors of the rainbow in it, and still, when you look at it, it looks quite uniform, quite like a rusty autumnal feel. But it's like it has everything in it. So I have to toe up socks with a really fun construction, like I kept saying for the past couple of episodes. But yeah, really fun textures, and look at it. Do you see what I mean? It doesn't look good. Like, this looks a bit better because I did it. I actually tightened that bind off a lot, but it's still, I guess because it's not a rib, it looks better than this one, but it's still profound. Toe up socks. Yes, but yeah, it's a new pair of socks, and it kind of pushed me back into the sock vibe. So I have a lot of design ideas. I have a test knit that I will talk about in a bit, and yeah, sock knitting might be back now that it's going to be a bit warmer. I guess shawls and socks are going to take over again. Take over. I have like 20 sweaters to make, a lot of which are going to be lightweight, so cotton blends or linen. So that's a lie. I'm still going to knit sweaters in August. Yeah. So finished objects. Yeah. It feels good. It feels good. It's been a while, I feel. No, it's not been that long. It's just that I had this blanket that lasted for a long time, so it felt like I wasn't progressing. But now that this is over, I can now relax and knit for myself, because I prefer to knit for myself. I love knitting for other people, but I need to be more careful about the projects that I chose to knit, because a massive blanket, considering I don't enjoy knitting blankets that much, if on top of that it's a gift, but yeah, it's pretty and I'm happy with the result. On to whips, and I have three finished objects and 3 whips. Isn't that nice? The first one is something that you already saw. It's a future design and it's a pair of socks. And they have a name. These are going to be the Little People socks. Little People because of Murakami's 1Q84, which I don't know how to explain it. It's a trilogy by Japanese author Haruki Murakami, and it's one of my favorite book series. I do like Kafka on the Shore a bit better, I think, I'm not sure. But yeah, basically 1Q84, the world kind of splits. Like there's this sort of other dimension where there are 2 moons and an entity of magical, really powerful creatures that are not necessarily friendly, but they're really eerie and they have a strong presence, and they're called the Little People. And I just think that this texture, like in how chaotic it kind of looks, I just had this in my mind and I thought, okay, done deal, Little People socks. So these are socks that I'm knitting out of Mondim sock yarn, which is a Portuguese sock yarn, 100% non-superwash rustic wool, sock wool, and it's great. I love it. I wanted to make a sock pattern that will work for variegated yarns, so I picked this one, which is this beige and rusty reds, and I came up with this. So it's an easy repeat and it makes this ruffle texture, and I just, when I picked them up again after I finished all my things, I just got amazed again at how squishy and thick the fabric is, while still being elastic. Have a lot of sort of floats at the back and it makes this really nice cushion of yarn. So these are going to be super warm socks and sturdy, I feel, because of this double layer. I have done the heel. I'm doing a heel flap and gusset. I finished the gusset and now I'm on to the foot, and I can show you how the Mondim yarn knits up in plain stockinette. It's striping because of the gusset, but yeah. I'm gonna get this done fairly quickly because I have about a gazillion other designs to work on. But yeah, Little People socks on the move will eventually get published. I might as well just jump into my next design as well, and I've already showed you like a little silly bit, and it's the shawl design that I'm working on, and I cast it on last night actually. This is what I have. I started the nice texture that you liked so much the other day, and yes, so this is going to be a shawl, more of a wrap shape rectangular thing. I have achieved the maximum width that it's going to have, so when it will be blocky it will be like this. I've added stripes just because I wanted to. So it's going to be quite a large wrap. I'm playing with the measurements and meterage that I have available because I wanted to fit in 2 skeins of fingering weight yarns. And the yarns I'm using are Black Elephant. This is her Bittersweet Symphony, which is a soft grey with speckles of hot pink, blue, a bit of brown and mustard. And this is a tonal blue that she dyed for me as a custom order to match it, basically. And they're on her single space, which is Spruce Merino, really soft, really delicate and fragile, and it's going to poof when I'm going to block it, and that's going to look really nice. And it's going to be quite a lightweight shawl, so I'm hoping to have it for spring. But yeah, there will be a lace section after that, and yeah, it looks funny because I unraveled the swatch that I made to start knitting it, so this section looks all bad because I was knitting out of the wrinkly yarn that had been knitted and washed and blocked. And you can see the transition when I started knitting from the skein that I haven't touched yet. Obviously when I'll block everything, it'll be nice. Oh, I-cord. And ta-da! So when I'm alternating the 2 colors closely, I made the trick so that the I-cord remains in the main color. I don't mind when it's striping like that and it makes chunks, but basically with this texture you had only one row of edge working on the I-cord, so it was looking really bad. And so I just made it so that the I-cord remained in one color. This also has a name. It's going to be the Méliès shawl. Méliès from Georges Méliès, who was an artist, filmmaker, and you've probably heard of his, what is it in English? Trip to the Moon? One Trip to the Moon sort of movie, which is a really awkward and crazy thing. And it just has a really specific mood to it. And since this was inspired by a submission call that whose theme was the moon, yeah, it just kind of made me think of that. The colors are like this silvery thing and this deep blue for the night. This is like a very roundish thing. The cable lace as well is quite round. It's just a moony show. So Méliès show it will be. And yes, I insist on using ridiculous names for my design, half of which no one is able to remember or pronounce. But last time I told you I wanted to cast on another sweater from Caitlin Hunter, and it is her most recent publication, the Tecumseh sweater. So, I've done a lot of it. I've only cast it on 2 days ago, and I've worked quite a bit, you can say. Sorry if the needles are clinking. So it's boxy type sweater with colorwork motifs. Basically these 2 motifs that you're seeing here are going to get repeated throughout the sweater and on the sleeves. So you have little crosses, and then you have this funny arrow banner shape. So the sweater is designed for DK yarn. I am knitting it out of fingering weight yarn, and because the gauge is 22 stitches per 10 centimeter, and I can definitely achieve that on 4mm needles, which is what I'm knitting with, and it's making quite a loose gauge, but it's okay. It's going to be drapey and it doesn't look that bad. And yes, so the yarns I'm using, the cream is a simple undyed the same yarn as this actually, but undyed superwash merino sock. The crosses are Heartland from Wool and Boon, and the arrows are Pocion from Malabrigo sock. So, a few things that I've done with this. First, I've changed the neckline. So, I've made this thing. You know, I've seen Amy of the Stranded podcast do that a lot. You double the neckline, so it makes a thick, cushy thing. Basically, I knit the ribbing for twice as long as I wanted it to be. And then I folded back and I knitted the last row and the cast on together so that it would fold back on itself. And yeah, it's making that thing. I've used Japanese short rows again, which guys are just... I am knitting this for a cal, a Frenchie cal, hosted by Liz Taylor, and it's about making boxy sweaters. And I went ahead and said to everyone on the forum, just try Japanese short rows, they're awesome. People were struggling with the wraps and turns of their sweaters, and I was like, just use Japanese short rows. They're completely invisible, they're really smooth and easy to make. And yeah. What's not invisible, however, is the increase line. So you can see here, one here, there's another one here. I just did another one, but I guess it's going to be less visible. But this first one is really bad. So when you look at the sample that Caitlin knitted and the people who test knit for her, you can see the lines as well. I guess it's just how it is with that yoke, since you basically double your stitch count in one go. It makes a really bad line here. See, that doesn't look good. The fact that I have a loose gauge isn't helping, I guess. The increases that you're doing are make one left. And I can't think of something that would be neater. I think that's the best for stockinette. But yeah, it's definitely going to look better when it's blocked, because if I stretch it already, it's okay. It's okay. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's just that, yeah, the loose gauge plus that row of increase is just... But if you look at it from far away and try to get an idea of how is it when it's going to be blocked, and yeah, oh my god, it's going to be so beautiful. I changed my mind. I said I was going to knit the small size, and actually I decided to cast on the medium one, because I just finished this one and that was a small size and I was supposed to get more ease than that, and I don't have it. So I really want this to be boxy, so I said okay, medium size. It's technically going to be over 35 centimeter of ease for me. So we'll see. Let's see. Doesn't that look smooth? There's another set of the two colorwork motif before I split for the sleeves. Should I put it on another cable and try it on? I might do that. I'm going to knit, because I just did another set of increases, so now I think I have almost 300 stitches. I'm gonna knit a little bit because you have a portion of cream, and then I'm going to put on another cable and put it over my head to see how it is. I really want it to be boxy, so even though I never do that, if it isn't, I will start over and knit a large size. My gauge is good, my gauge is right. I'm not sure now. But sweaters always look smaller, right? It's not blocked or anything. Definitely looks bigger than this was looking at that point, I think. But the color work is just beautiful. I really like it. I really like it. It's not perfect because of the loose gauge. However, if you remember, the last time I had a loose gauge in color work, I was doing the Carbone mittens and they looked pretty nasty. And this is much better. So I have improved my color work even when I have to deal with the loose gauge. So tecumseh, please be big and comfy. Here are my floats. I've been not caring too much about catching them when it's when it's 6 stitches or less. I think it's just fine. Yeah. I'm going to knit on it and try it on after I finish recording all my episodes. But yeah, I had a yarn bar situation, so there's that. It's fixed though now, so I'm excited. It's going to look beautiful, so I really hope it's going to be boxy. I have a tiny but mighty yarn show section for you. Ta-da! So, there's this French e-shop called Laine des Îles, which is Yasmin, and she is having a focus on rustic yarns from the UK and from the Faroe Island, and she also has Tuku and Scandinavian brands. This is where I discovered snail down yarns, which if you've been following the podcast I've mentioned already, and it's like my heart is for this yarn. And I was looking for a yarn because Hannah-Lisa from the Hannah on the Road podcast and Hannah-Lisa have come design, and she has beautiful project bags. She is part of the Making Stories publication. She is having her first designs with an S test knitted, and the first one I really like, and I wanted to test knit for her. So when she put up the call, I applied and I got selected. She's using Yarn Pond, which is a new thing created for test knits, so we'll see how that works. I'm excited to try it as well as test knitting for her. So it's a pair of socks and it's a sock weight yarn. She used Oysters and Pearl sock, which I believe is from the US, so, and it was not in stock anyway, so she accepted that we used other sport weight yarn that would be suitable for socks. So I went onto that website, Laine des Îles, and links are below obviously, and I was looking. I remember her having quite a nice selection of various weights, and I found this, which is Ullcentrum. So it's, did I say that? Why did I roll the R? Do Swedish roll the R? Never mind. Ullcentrum yarns, which is a Swedish brand. Oh my god, this is amazing. So this is a sport weight, and they have a whole range of grayish undertone, beautifully dyed colors, and so it's 300 meters per 100 grams, and it's 100% Swedish wool. So it's non-superwash, 100% Swedish wool, and it's the softest of the rustic yarns. Much softer than Tuku wool, much softer than snail down. It's less, snail down is quite soft, but snail down is a bit more dry. Maybe this is a bit softer. I think it's even softer than the Rerum Natura in my opinion. So I don't care for softness, but if you have issues with rustic wool and you want to, and you feel sad because you'd like to have yarn that is extremely appropriate for color work, Ullcentrum. They have beautiful colors, and I feel like if you're you know, you've only knit with merino soft and your hands are really used to it and you feel like you would never be able to use rusticer yarns, try this, because I think this is great. And this is a great, yeah, medium range between the super rustic and the super soft. I love it. I love it. It's beautiful. I'm definitely going to have sweaters made out of this. I've seen people sending calls for test knits for sweaters, that colorwork sweaters that use sport weight yarn. So I'm pretty sure you could knit it up as a DK weight as well. Maybe not fingering, because it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely a bit still. Could, I think you could make it up for fingering. I need to achieve 20 stitch per inch for the test knit. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'll have to switch. So yeah, these are going to be a pair of socks because it's a really strong yarn, and yeah, I'm not really harsh on my socks, so I don't especially need nylon. And this is great. This is the lavender grey color, 5122, and it's this beautiful lavender thing. If I probably have some left, and I might, or I might not, because I haven't knit sport weight socks, so I'm not too sure of the yardage I'm going to need. But yeah, if I have some left, I might choose that or a colorwork sweater. I don't know, they have really beautiful range of colors. Yeah, mittens in this would be awesome. I have stumbled upon the Carbone podcast, which is a podcast from a Swedish couple, and they use a lot of these for mittens. So that will be a test knit for Hannah-Lisa, and I have to cake this up and switch, because I don't have whole year to make this test knit, so gotta do this. I want to finish this podcast with a little bit of a book review. So as I was knitting my Zweig, I decided to reread my favorite short stories by Stefan Zweig, and I have already talked to you about the Royal Game, and now I want to share Amok, which is definitely my favorite one, way above the Royal Game, even though I like the Royal Game. But Amok, so it's like this, A-M-O-K, is a short story. And intruder, you can stay here if you're nice, but you're never nice. He's not a kitty anymore, obviously, but it's so silly. Anyway, you're gonna hear some purring in the background. Amok is definitely my favorite short story about Stefan Zweig, and I really encourage anyone who has never read Zweig and to try it. Like the Royal Game, it's a story about obsession, but while the Royal Game is about the obsessiveness of the mind and how it tangles itself into challenges and, you know, endless fights with itself, Amok is more about social obsessiveness and conflicts in relationships. I'm sorry, that's the cat. You're not helping. So basically the story is that on a boat, again, obviously Zweig had a thing for boats. I don't think he had much of a choice actually about that, but yeah. A doctor tells a stranger his story. Basically what happened is that he let his sort of petty will dictate his social interaction in particular, and it led to a tragedy, and it just drove him madder. It's also about helplessness and responsibility, and it's quite dramatic. You know, the character goes in great big words about his misery, but if you look at what it tells and how it tells it, it's quite cleverly done. You know, the tale of this apparently quite simple psychological drama, it takes place both inside the story and in the way and context in which he tells it. and everything provokes his obsession to go even further. So it's a nice play on different level of narration, and yeah, I think it's a really interesting story, both in the implication that it has, and also in how you tell something, and how when you're writing fiction you can make it your tool and make everything work together and go into an even more precise way. So yes, Amok by Stefan Zweig is what I have read as I was finishing the Zweig sweater. I thought it made sense, and it was a nice occasion to read something small while I am still fighting with It by Stephen King. Do you remember, like months ago when I started this segment, I started to read It, and I'm really loving it. I am loving it, but the problem is it's scary. I read mostly at night in bed. It's not a good idea to read it at night in bed, not at all. Now I'm past the middle of the book, and Pennywise is here a lot. Basically, the adults have came back to Derry, and they're confronting Pennywise, and it's really scary. It's cute. But yeah, reading short stories was a nice break from that. But yeah. So that's it for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I will see you next time with some progress on those new cast-ons and designs. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you a happy day, night and week, and I will see you next time. Bye!